Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be learning how to make a digital calculator. This is an example of digital calculator that I had designed, so we'll be making a similar type of calculator. For this we have to design some buttons, we have to take some input tags, then we'll be giving the functionalities using JavaScript. In this part I'll be mainly focusing on the HTML and CSS part. The JavaScript part will be only making the expressions. We'll start the coding. We'll talk about the requirements. First thing is making of the input box. We'll be adding this input box in a form tag so that it will store the data, whatever data I'll be giving from the buttons. But I'm pressing 7, it should give me 7, and then I'm giving some operator and giving another number and taking the output. So it will work like this. So we'll be making a similar type of calculator today. So let's start. This is my output page. I will be getting my outputs here. I had created two files, one HTML file named as calculator.html and there is calculator.css. First of all, write the basic codes for the HTML. Then HTML tag, then comes the head tag. I'll be giving title here as calculator. I have to link the CSS file with the HTML file. For linking CSS file, I have to use link rel equal to style sheet, then mention the type of file. Type will be text/CSS and the last one will be href. It will give you the source of file. The source of file will be calculator.css. My HTML file is connected with the CSS file. Come to the body tag. So how can I arrange this? I'm coming back to the output. So I have to arrange all these buttons in the form of a table. All these are table rows and table columns. So I'll be making buttons and arranging them in the form of a table. I'm getting the title as calculator here. I had already saved a link for my background image. For background image, I'll be using the CSS file and there I'll be making the body tag and add the background image. For adding background image, I'll be using URL. Press the link here, save it. Save the HTML file. This is my output screen. So the background part is done. Now the work is adding the buttons. Either I can add the button in the form of button tag or else I can also use the form attribute for adding the buttons. I'll be using the form attribute for adding the buttons, that is the input tag. Now I have to arrange the buttons in the form of a table tag. For that I have to use the table first, make the table tag, then add the table row, tr for table row and td for table data. Then inside the table data I have to mention the input tag and the type will be button. This is the input type having button. Mention some id here so that I can add the CSS features, that the id will be button1, then give a value, the value will be 9. This 9 will be reflected on the screen as a button. Save it. Now I got a button as 9. Do the same for 4 times. Now just change the values, make it 8, 7 and give it as some operator, let it be plus operator. Okay, so I had got 9, 8, 7 and plus. Like this I'll be making 4 rows and 4 columns. So I am copy pasting this whole part for 3 more times. Copy from the tr part. So I pasted it for 4 times. Now I am getting the 9, 8, 7 and plus for 4 times. Just change the values. Leave the first one as it is. Next one will be 6, 5 and give an operator in the place of plus. Let it be minus. Save it. Okay, so it is showing me. Now comes 1, 2 and 3 and give an operator here. Let it be multiplication. Let us give here x sign I'll be using the multiplication operator in the JavaScript because we cannot use X for doing the multiplication in JavaScript. We have to particularly use the asterisk mark. So just for showing the user that I have to use here multiplication, I am using the X sign. Now the last one will be, I will be making 4 buttons here that equal to C button. C is for clearing the screen and equal to is for calculating the final value. 0 is left out and last one will be division. You can see the output now. It is showing me a calculator, but one thing is missing here. I had not given any input box. Here I will be pressing the buttons and that input should be taken, so I have to make that input box. Now add a form tag, give some name, let the name will be my form, make the name as my form here. Now inside the form make a input tag and the input type will be text. So we're getting a input tag now. Let's add some more features. So let the name will be name equal to input box, then give some placeholder value. This will work as a watermark at given 0. So 0 will be the watermark here. Now the HTML part is done. I have to work with the CSS part. So the first thing is changing the shape of the buttons. I have to give some particular height and width to the buttons. I had given button 1 as the ID for all the buttons. Now I'll be changing some IDs. So let's give different ID for the operators, different ID for the number buttons and different ID for the equal to and C button. So I'm using button 2 for the operators, leaving button 1 for the numbers, button 2 for the operators and button 3 for equal to and C. So that I can give different styles for different buttons. Now come to the CSS part. Maximum features will be same for button 1, button 2 and button 3. Only the background color, some properties will be different. So whatever properties are same, I'll be writing it in the same CSS part and others will be in the different part. So first of all, write the same features. Now write the features here. First of all, mention the height. Let the height will be 130 pixels. Make a width as let it be 170 pixels. Make it 120. So I am getting some enlarged view of my buttons. Mention some border. I don't want to get any border here, so mention border as none. Border will be none. Then mention border radius. I want border radius as 30 pixels. Make the font little bit bolder. For that I'll be using font weight. Make the font weight bold. Mention a font family. Make the font family as cursive. I'll give some different style for different buttons. Like the shape, like the size of the text will be different for different buttons. For giving different sizes to the buttons, for different sizes to the text also, I will be defining the CSS part differently. So let's define the hashtag button 1 and give styles for it. Let the font size will be 50 pixels. Okay, then I'll be using some random color for this. Make the background color as RGB value 100, 149. It will give me a mixture of colors. Okay, so I'm getting some random color. Then come to the color. It will change the color of the text. Give some dark color. Give some dark color. Now we'll come to the shadow part. Give shadow to the text. For giving shadow to the text, we'll be using text shadow. Mention some value for this. Let it be 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 2 pixels and black. That means the length, breadth and height of the shadow will be 2 pixels. Now we'll be giving some shadow to the boxes also. Before that I'll be using some margins, so that I'll be getting some gap in between the buttons. So mention some margin in the buttons, that the margin top will be 15 pixels and margin left will be same 15 pixels. This will just give you some spaces so that you can mention the shadows. Now come to the box shadow. Mention box shadow as 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 5 pixels and black. Now save it. So I'm getting some shadow here. Do the same for button 2 and button 3 with some different values. First of all, give some font size, where the font size will be, because these are the operators, so I am giving some large view. Let it be 65 pixels. I changed the value. Now let's see how it looks like. Okay, so it is coming here. Now give some different background color and different color for this. Let the I am leaving it the RGB part here and giving some different value, and give some different color for the text. Let I will give some red color. For that I'll be using 114,0,0. It will give me some dark red color. Okay, so I'm getting some required colors. Now come to the last one, hashtag button 3. Paste here, just change the attributes, hashtag button 3, enlarge the view, increase the font size. Let I'm giving it 75 pixels and give some different background color. I'll be using a different background color like the red color and the black color. So the background color will be black, and for giving black I'll be using 0,0,0. 0,0,0 will give me black color, and here I'm already getting a red color. So give this, the background color is done. Now give red color to the text part. For that I'll be using some larger value for R and giving 0 for both B and G. So I'm getting a red color now. Okay, all these are done. Now we'll come to the input tag. So this input tag, whatever I had written here, I have to give styles to this part. Here is my input tag. Give some ID here. Let the ID will be equal to input text. Save it. Now come to the CSS part and define the hashtag input text. Mention some height and width for this. Let the height will be 130 pixels and width will be 760 pixels. You can also give some border radius and you can increase the font size also. So we'll do it step by step. First of all, align the text. To bring that 0 to the right corner, so I'll be using text align as right. You can see that 0 is shifted to the right hand side. Increase the font size. Let the font size will be 80 pixels. Okay, so it will look like this. It's working. Now give some border radius and remove the border styles. Keep the border as none and give the border radius 20 pixels. Save it. Now give some background color for this. Let the background color will be RGB. We're taking a light color. Now come to the body part and give some margin for this so that it will be coming to the center. Let the margin left will be 350 pixels and margin top will be 10 pixels. Save it. Now it is coming nearly to the center. So it is almost done. Just have to add the functionalities. For giving functionalities, I'll be using the JavaScript codes. We can write the JavaScript code in a different file by making a different file as .js, or else you can use the script tag. Inside the HTML part, you can use script tag. There is no boundary for using the script tag. You can use script tag anywhere you want. using script here. Whenever you are writing the codes in script tag, it is the best practice to mention type equal to text slash JavaScript. I'll be using one JavaScript event, that is onClick event. When I'll click the buttons, the function will get executed. So for that, I'll be using an onClick event here. We're calling the function inside the onClick event. That the function will be insert num for inserting the numbers, and I want to insert the number here as 9. Now copy and paste it for all the numbers. For on click, when the button will be clicked, I will be entering the numbers. Do the same for 8 and 7. Just change the values here. Instead of 9, mention here 8, and here mention 7. Let's try the JavaScript part now. If it is working, then we'll continue it for the other codes. The function here I used is function insert num. Now define this function here. We can fetch data from HTML in JavaScript using document object model. So I'll be using the document object model here. Along with that, we'll be using the name concept. Either you can use the name concept or the class concept or ID concept. You can also use the query selector methods. Today I'll use the document.name concept. So for that I'll be using the hierarchy. First of all, use the document object. Now document dot, the name of the form is my form. It is just like the hierarchy. First comes the body tag, then comes the form tag, then inside the form tag I am having the input tag. So name of the form is my form and name of the input tag is input box. Now I want to fetch the value. For fetching value, I have to use this object dot value. This equal to. I will be assigning some value to the input tag. For that, I have to fetch data from the HTML part. If I am clicking over the buttons, generally the number buttons and the operator buttons, that number or that operator will be directed to the input box. For that, I will be directing the input to the input box. I have to concatenate the strings. For that, use the same method document dot my form dot input box dot value. Then give a variable here. Let it be make it num. Make the variable as num here, and then concatenate the num here. You'll be using the plus sign for concatenation. Save it. Now let's see whether 9 and 7 are working properly or not. Come to this part and check the output. I'm pressing 9, it is coming, 8 is also coming, 7 is also coming. So that means the codes are correct. Now I have to write this for all the buttons. For that, copy and paste it. Copy the onClick event and the function. Just change the values. We'll be giving some different function to the equal to and C button, because equal to button will give me the final value, C button will clear the screen. So leave those two buttons and give insert num for all the buttons. Now come to the operator parts. Here it will be little different. We cannot write the operators here directly. We have to use this for giving the operators, because these are characters, these are not numbers. Now do the same for all. Now I had given all the functionalities to all the buttons except the equal to button and the C button. Let's try whether all the buttons are functional or not. 9 is functional. I'm just checking whether all my buttons are functional or not. If there is any mistake in the code, then it will not show you the output. So all the buttons are functional. We have to add the functionalities to the equal to button and C button. Give some different function here, but the event will be same. We'll be using the onClick event. This is for equal to mention final value as the function name. Okay, I'd given final value, and for C mention, for C button use the clear screen. Don't use the clear one, because clear is already there as a predefined object in JavaScript. So use some different thing like show or something. Don't use the clear one. Now write the JavaScript part here. First function will be final value, The next one will be clear screen. I will add the clear screen first and I'll show you that how it works. So I have to just change the value. So I am getting the final value in my input tag. Now change the value for the input tag. So for fetching the data, I'll be using the name concept document.myForm.inputBox.value. I want to give some value to this. That means when the button will be clicked, there will be some value. So I want to give the value as like null. That means it will give you nil value there. Now come to the output and check whether it is working or not. Pressing 9, pressing C, it is clearing the screen. The last one is working with the equal to. For working with the equal to, we have to solve the expression. Whatever expression I am using, that I am using 9 plus 7. So I have to store this expression inside a variable. First of all, make a variable here, and the variable will be expression. Then store the value. I have to store the value using the document.name concept. myForm.inputBox.value. So the value is stored here. Now I have to find the final value of the expression and I have to show it in the input tag. So for calculating the final value, I have to use the eval function. Eval function is used for calculating the expression. I had stored the expression inside the variable expression. Insert that expression value inside the eval function. I am writing it here and calling the function. So I will be getting my output. But one problem is there, it will not be shown. Like I am doing 9 plus 7 and pressing equal to, it is calculating the output but it is not showing me the output. For showing the output, I have to use a document.myForm.inputBox.value. I have to change the value of the input box, that will be equal to eval function. Now come to the output. Press 9 plus 7 or 9 plus 3 equal to, I'm getting the value as 12. So it is working properly. So this is how we'll be making the easiest calculator using JavaScript. Thank you for watching my video.